So in today's video, I'm going to be going over everything that you need to do to get Windows 10 running on your Raspberry Pi 4 well. And if you follow this tutorial closely, I guarantee you will get Windows 10 running on your Raspberry Pi 4 with good performance. So to get started, we're actually going to need 3 applications to do this process. So the first one is going to be called NTLite, and this is an application we're going to use to debloat our Windows install to make it run better on the Raspberry Pi. So you're going to want to go to the NTLite website and click download 64-bit and just download it and install it on your system. The second application is going to be an application called 7-zip, which is like a extractor. So download any version that applies to your system, just download it straight to your system and install it. And the third application we're going to need is the Windows on Raspberry Pi Imager. This is the application we're going to use to flash the Windows image onto our SD card to be able to boot up on our Raspberry Pi. So you're going to want to download the latest version 2.11, just download that image and then we'll be ready. So what we're going to do, we're going to open up our folder right here real fast, and then we're going to extract the Windows on Raspberry Pi installer because that's what we're going to need. You're going to right click and extract 7-zip and go to extract to Windows on Raspberry Pi release. So after you've installed 7-zip, right click on this application and you're going to get this nice folder with all these things that we're going to need. So just leave that right there. You can delete this one. And now we're going to need to download a Windows image. So how we download the Windows image is using a legal way. This is totally legal and there is no viruses in this. You don't need to worry at all. So select type, we're going to go with Windows Insider version. If you go with Final, you won't be getting the x64 emulation, which in my opinion is pretty important because it allows you to run so many more apps on your Windows install. So we're going to want the Insider version. Our version, just go for the latest. The latest works the best and it has all the latest features. So I'm going to go with 2.137.01 ARM64, and when you're watching this video there might be a more later version and just go for that one because it should work without any problem. So click the latest version. My language, I'm going to go with English, United States. Edition, I want Windows 10 Professional. I recommend going for Pro because there's really no reason to go to Home. There's not a big performance difference anyway. And our select type of download, we're going to want the download ISO compiler in one click. We click that one right there, give it a second, and download this one right here that says Creating ISO 213170. Click that one, close the ad, and it's going to download the file for you right here. Don't worry, click right here and click Keep, because it really is okay. Just click Show More, and Keep anyway. Okay, once we have that file, we're going to go back to our folder right here, and we're actually just going to copy that into my folder. And you're going to want to make a new folder for this because it downloads all these files and you don't want to have them all around the place. So create a new folder, and this is really important. You don't want any spaces in this folder's name. I'm going to call it WIM because this is going to be a WIM image. Click WIM, but do not put any spaces in the name. That is really important for this thing to work correctly. Copy over to the folder right here, and what we're going to do, just double click it. Give it a second. It's going to give you a warning right now, but it really is okay. Click More Info and click Run Anyway because it really is okay, I promise you. And it's going to open up this CMD window and it's going to start downloading all these files to get our Windows 10 ARM64 image. And this process does take a while because it downloads a lot of files. So just be patient and let this thing do its thing. So if you get to this part, congratulations, you have downloaded the Windows ISO file. So it says press any key to exit, press any key, and it's going to close up that file. And now right here, you should have an ISO file. So this basically has all the Windows files we need inside of it, but we actually only need one of them. So what you're going to do, you're going to double click this file. Give it a second, double click it. It's going to try to mount it on your system, and then we're going to go into the sources file. Go to the sources folder, and we're just going to search for a file called install. We're going to search for install.wim. Search for install.wim. It's going to search, and there's going to be a file called install.wim. That is the only file we need in this folder. So you're going to take this out, and you're just going to copy it to wherever you want. I'm going to copy it to my downloads folder. It's going to just copy it out of there, and then we will have that because then the rest of the ISO is basically useless to us. All we need is that one install.wim because we're going to use this install.wim and then we're going to debloat our system. And there are some files that we need to debloat our system, and that is going to be over on the Windows on Raspberry Pi Discord server. You're going to head over here I'll leave a link to this Discord server in the description below. Just join the server and go to the download section. In the download section, you're going to want the NTLite preset, this one, Neon 3.1. Download this one, click this link right here. It's going to download this zip file for us. This zip file is really important because this is going to make our performance so much better on our Raspberry Pi. So it's going to download it, give it 1 second, and so we have it right here downloaded. Give it a second, and then now our Windows file is still copying over, and we have the 0.3.1 folder. Copy it into the folder. I'm just going to copy it right over here, and then we will be ready to go. So right here we have it. I'm just going to extract it, right click, and I'm going to go extract to folder. So now we have all the files that we need for this process. We have the preset right here, 0.3.1. We have this folder that we were creating the ISO file in. We have our word flasher, and then we have the install.wim. So now we're going to have to debloat that WIM, which debloating means taking it apart and taking all the trash out of it that makes the system run so much slower. And to do this, we actually have an easy way. We're going to use this app called NTLite, which we installed earlier, so go ahead and launch it. And then what we're going to do, we're going to click Add an Image File. You're going to locate that install.wim, click Open. Click the source is already on the list because I already have it. And then right here, what you're going to do, once you locate it, it's going to be right here. You're going to have to double click it. And once you double click it, it's going to start to load it into NTLite. And this loading process does take a bit long because it's making sure that it knows everything about it. So just leave it there and let it load it up inside of NTLite. Alrighty, so now our Windows file is finally loaded up. And we can tell by this little green dot right here. So our Windows file is ready. Now we have to actually import the preset. So we're going to click import right here, and then we're going to go to the 0.3.1 folder, and we're going to click 0.3.1. We're going to click open. Click right there and click OK. And now it's going to be on the left right here, or right, and we're going to double click this. You have to double click this or it won't be loaded. Once you see that little green dot right there, that means we're ready. So now we are going to have to go over to the registry folder, and we're going to go back to our file manager right here, and we're going to go back in this folder, and right here we have all these registries. We're going to go like this. We're going to drag and drop all of these into the right here. Just drag and drop. And you'll see there'll be a lot of them right here. So that's what we want. And then we're just going to go back to the source part right here, and we can go over and we can apply. So click apply, and we know everything. I'm going to click process and click yes. And yes, I want to go. So now this will start applying all the changes we did to our Windows image file so that we'll have a nice lightweight Windows image. So let this thing do its thing. As you can see, now it's done, and I've debloated my WIM, but not all of it. So this is the part that a lot of people actually get scared about, and they kind of bail out this part because this part looks kind of scary, but this part really will help improve your performance. So I really recommend sticking around and actually doing this part because it will just help your performance a ton. So what we're going to do, we're actually going to have to open up this instructions folder right here. And in this file, there's going to be actually some pretty helpful things. I'm going to put it to the left right here, and then I'm going to put the file manager right here. And then what we're going to do, we're going to go back right here, and we're going to see that we have now a new install.wim, and this is the one that's been debloated with NTLite. But we're actually going to have to edit this version. So we're going to click it, right click, and then we're going to go 7-zip and open archive. Give it a second to launch with 7-zip, and we're going to be able to edit our install.wim in 7-zip. So it's going to be pretty useful actually. So right here we have it, and I'll just put this on the left right here, and I'll put the notepad on the left right here. So now we just have to delete a few folders, and then we'll be ready to go. So the first one that we're going to have to delete is in System32. So we're going to go over to Windows, we're going to scroll down until we see the S. We have System32 right here. We're going to go down to Recovery. So search for the R's. Search for the R's right here. We have recovery, and we're going to totally delete recovery because recovery on the Raspberry Pi really doesn't do anything. So there's no reason to have it on your system, making your system more bloated. Just delete it because who needs it? So this process really is about deleting the unuseful files and making our WIM smaller so that we use less storage and also less processes are running on our Raspberry Pi, because Windows is a pretty heavy operating system, and to be able to run it on a low power single board computer like the Raspberry Pi, you need it to be lightweight. So that's why we do this process, just to make it more lightweight. So once that's done deleting, we're actually going to have to delete the bingmaps.dll. So we go right here, and it should be down here in system32. So right here, bingmaps.dll, you're going to click delete. This is in the same folder as the last file. Click OK, and we're just going to delete this file. And I do want to mention, only delete the files that I am deleting, or you could totally break your Windows system. So only delete the files that I am deleting. So the next file on the list, as we can see right here, is in the SYS-WoW64 folder. So we're going to click right here, and we're going to go back, and we're going to find that folder. So it should be right down here, SYS-WoW64. Go in there, and we're going to find the OneDrive setup.exe folder. So this is going to be pretty down there because O's are down there. So we're going to go look for the OneDrive folder right here. It should be just right here, and it is an exe file. So we're totally deleting OneDrive from our system. I found it right here. I'm going to click delete, and I'm going to click OK. So this is now going to delete OneDrive from my system. And the next folder is going to be bingmaps.dll. So it's in the same folder, SYS64. So we're going to scroll up till we find the B's. So we just go right here, all the way up to the B's. Looks like I passed it, and it should be right here, bingmaps.dll. Click delete, and OK. So there's a lot of these bingmaps.dll and lots of folders. So we're just taking out all these. We're deleting all of them. So now we actually have to go to the SYS ARM32 folder. So we're going to go back out of here, and we're going to find that folder. So it's right here. It should be SYS ARM32. Go in there, and we're going to find another bingmaps.dll. So scroll down till you find those B's, and it should be just right around here. bingmaps.dll, click delete, and click OK. So now we're taking out another bingmaps.dll. Alrighty, so once we're done deleting that, we're actually going to run back right here, and we're going to have to go over to the WinSX folder. So we're going to exit out of here, and we're going to find the WinSX. So it's right here, and then you're actually just going to have to find this long folder name right here. It's kind of long, just find it and delete it. Okay, so once you've done that, we're actually going to go back, and we're going to have to go over, we're going to leave the Windows folder. We're going to go into the users folder, and then we're going to go over to default. We are going to go over to roaming. Wait, no, it says default app data. We're going to go over to app data, and then we're going to go over to roaming, Microsoft, Windows, start menu, find start menu, programs, and then there should be a OneDrive link in here, but sadly in this version of Windows I don't know if they have that anymore because it's not in the right folder. So it might be somewhere else, but I'm not exactly sure where that is. So if you don't see that, I guess just leave it out, because if you don't see it, but if you do see it, go right ahead and delete it, because please do. So next we're going to go back, and we're going to go into the program files. So exit out of all these things, go into the program files x86, and delete Internet Explorer. Because who needs Internet Explorer anymore? Who even uses it? We use Edge, of course. So delete Internet Explorer, and then, yeah. Alrighty, so after we delete Internet Explorer, there's actually an ARM version of Internet Explorer 2. So we have to go into Program Files ARM, and then we see Internet Explorer right here. We're actually also going to delete Windows Defender, so I hold Control. We're going to select Windows Defender, Internet Explorer, and also Windows Mail. It's because those apps we don't really need. Click delete, and am I sure? Yes, I'm gonna click OK. Okay, so now we have one more file to delete, and that is going to be in the program files, just program files. Go in here, and it's going to be Internet Explorer. And after we delete that, we will have deleted all the files that we need to delete, and we will have a nice debloated Windows file on our Raspberry Pi. Once that is done deleting, congratulations! You have deleted all the unnecessary files in your Windows file, and now we are ready to flash it. So plug in your USB stick. It could be a USB stick, or it could be a SD card. My 3.0 USB stick actually works really well with Windows 10 on the Raspberry Pi, so I'm going to be using that. And if we go out right here, you see now our installed OM is really clean, and it's ready to be used. So we're going to go into the war release file right here. Why is that doing that? We're going to go over here and double click WAR. Click that file right here, and that is the Windows and Raspberry Pi flasher. So double click it, give it a second to launch, and this will take that debloated Windows file and actually add it onto our system. So click yes, and let it launch, and then this will grab all the drivers we need, everything we need. Literally, this thing will do it for us. So it's an awesome tool, and it makes installation so much easier. So right here, it's about to launch. And here we have it. So it says select your language. I want English. Click next. And then our storage device, I'm going to choose my removable media right here, and we are going for the Pi4 or Pi400. Click this one right here, and I know this, so I click OK. I click Next. And our image file, this is going to be the Windows file that we debloated. So we're going to go back to the folder, and it's going to be the install.wim. Click Open. And it's going to show us what version of Windows this is and everything like that. Click Next, and we want the latest package available on this server. This will grab everything we need, so we literally don't have to worry whatsoever. So click Accept right here, and click Next. The UEFI firmware, we want the latest firmware available on the server. Click Next, and this is what we want. I would recommend going for MBR, and because GPT is still a bit beta, but MBR does work. GPT is fine, but I've had better performance and experience with MBR, so I'm going to stick to that. I'm going to click Next, and I'm going to click Install. So yeah, this will take a long time because it's taking everything from the install.wim and copying it over to my device. So just be patient and go do something else while this is flashing it to our USB stick. Once you see this screen, you are done flashing, so now pull out your USB stick or SD card, plug it into your Raspberry Pi. So now on first boot, we're going to want to hit escape. Hit escape, and now we are going to disable the 3GB RAM limit. This will allow us to use all the RAM on our Raspberry Pi. So we're going to go over here to Device Manager. We're going to go scroll down to Raspberry Pi configuration. And we are going to go over to Advanced Configuration and limit RAM to 3GB. Click this and go to Disable. Then hit F10 to save, hit Y, enter. Now we will be able to use all of our RAM, so this will just really help us to get better performance. So hit escape, go all the way back, go down to continue, and now boot up. And this process will take a long time, and it will do a lot of reboots. So don't worry, just leave your Pi on for this entire time, and don't pull the plug. If you pull the plug, you will mess up the installation. So leave the plug in the whole time, and it will reboot about 3 times. Let it reboot those times, and then you'll go to like a Windows setup, and just set up your Pi like any old Windows PC, and then you'll have Windows set up on your Raspberry Pi. Alrighty, so if you've come this far, you have Windows 10 installed on your Raspberry Pi, and you can use this like any old Windows desktop. All apps work, ARM apps work, ARM64 apps work, x86 apps work, and x64 apps. So you have a huge amount of application support, it runs pretty well, and you can use this just like any old Windows on your Raspberry Pi. And you can run most any game too, but there's no guarantee that it's going to run well. So that is the thing. Don't get mad that it's not running well because this is a low-powered device like the Raspberry Pi 4, and it's not some powerful device like a powerful computer with a powerful graphics card. But I do want to take a look at the World Control Panel, and this is made by Amir Dahan especially for the Raspberry Pi 4, and it's really optimized and it has a lot of awesome features. So we have this really nice CPU usage place. I can see how much CPU usage I'm using right here, how much memory I'm using, plus my write and speed. So it's really useful, and it looks so much better than the default task manager, doesn't it? And then we can go over here and we can control GPIO. So that's also useful. You can control your GPIO pins from Windows on the Raspberry. We can go over to applications, and there are 6 ARM64 applications right here. So these will all be ran on Windows on your Raspberry Pi without having to emulate them. So they will run really well, and they will perform really well too. So it's really easy to install, and you just hit install and it will install. And there are more apps coming in the future, so stay tuned to that, and you will have more apps in your Windows on Raspberry Pi installation. And we can go over to About, and we see what UEFI firmware we're using, our drivers, and what Windows build. And the creators are Amir and Marcin, so huge shout out to them for creating this. We can go over to Overlay, and we have we can disable overlay or enable overlay, which is kind of useful. And our settings right here, we can actually change a lot of things. So we can go over to advanced, and we can directly overclock our Raspberry Pi from this application. So it's really useful. You don't even have to edit config.txt. You can edit all your config.txt from right here. You can even change your resolution. And you might notice right now I'm running this at 720 because I get much better performance at 720 over 1080. So I'd recommend running this at a lower resolution to get better performance. But our overclocking right here, you can just click change and it will automatically mount your boot partition, edit your config.txt, and do everything for you. So it's really useful and it just works so well. So the Word control panel is really awesome. And it's white right now because I am on Windows Light mode. If I turned it to dark mode, the app would also become dark. So it's just a really pretty application and it works really well. So huge shout out to Amir Dahan for creating this. It's amazing. And to end this video, so I hope you guys were able to do this successfully. Any questions you have about this, let me know down below in the comments, or hit us up on the Windows on Raspberry Pi Discord server. You can ask there in the questions, and these guys are super helpful, and you'll get Windows on your Raspberry Pi easily. If you have any problems, go over here and ask them. And yeah, so thanks for watching.